Welcome, friends, to this 15th day of the workshop on Satyarth Prakash. And today we will be deliberating upon the 10th chapter of Satyarth Prakash. And we have two eminent scholars with us. One, Professor V.K. Alankar from Punjab University, Chandigarh, and second, Dr. Komal Radha Kishun from Mauritius. But the first speaker is not available now, so I would like to start this session with our second speaker, Dr. Komal Chandra Radha Kishun, and I would invite Dr. Ashwini Kumar Rajpal from Canada, from Vancouver, the director of International Foundation for Vedic Science, to introduce our eminent speaker and invite him for the talk.
Uh,
Ashwini.
Namaste to our learned scholars and our esteemed participants. Slight correction there by Ravi. There's no doctor in front of my name. But
You're fine.
I'm honored today to introduce Dr. Komal Chandra Radhakishun, whom I've known for almost 20 years. He studied Ayurveda as an ICCR scholar from 1992 to 1998 at Ayurvedic and Tibia College, University of Delhi, India. He holds a Master of Science in Health Services Management with distinction from the University of Technology, Mauritius. He hails from an Arya Samajist family. In 2019, Dr. Komal Chandra Radhakishun has been conferred by the government of Mauritius, the commander of Star and Key of Indian Ocean, the third highest civilian Mauritian National Award for his significant contribution excuse me, in Ayurveda and social works in Mauritius. Dr. Komal Chandra Radhakishun has been practicing Ayurveda since 1999, and he is presently working as Ayurvedic medical officer in the Ministry of Health and Wellness. He is also the president of the Association of Ayurvedic Physicians and an active member of Arya Samaj Mauritius. He has extensively contributed to Ayurveda in the local and foreign press. He was the Mauritian coordinator of Vedic Science magazine from 2001 to 2005. I now hand you over to Dr. Komal Chandra Radhakishun.
धन्यवाद आप सभी को नमस्ते and respected Professor Ravi Prakash Arya ji, Chairman of the Maharishi Dayanand Saraswati Chair, Maharishi Dayanand University Rohtak, Ashwini Rajpal ji, Acharya Brahmdev ji, and respected scholars who are present today on this webinar, and those watching us on the Adarsh TV also. Well, it's a pleasure for me today to share a little light on the 10 samulas of Satyarth Prakash, which Maharishi Dayanand Saraswati wrote in 1874. Well, this 10 samulas, if we, my slides, is it visible to you and my voice is audible? It's okay?
Yes, you're okay.
Okay. So this samulas, Swami Dayanand has given guidelines about desirable and non-desirable conducts and permissible and non-permissible food. Well, the status of these 10 samulas is very important because the 10 samulas is to be read after Bhumika and the second samulas. So it is the second chapter, if we don't count the Bhumika, it is the second chapter that one has to read in the chronology of how to read Satya Prakash. Now, the aims of the Samulas is in fact a recapitulation of the ideas and principles in the Samulas 1, 2, 3, 4, and 7. And the main aim of Swamiji was to make the society noble, to make everyone Arya. And if you make someone Arya, we have to follow certain rules and regulations, certain norms, certain conducts, and certain ethics. And he has prescribed the five Mahayaj, namely the Brahma Yaj, prayer to God and Vedas study, Dev Yaj, Havan, Bhut Yaj, that is Bali Vaishnav Yaj, Pitri Yaj, Atithi Yaj. Now, the purpose of Yaj, because if you want to make someone noble, you have to do these five Yaj and to follow the guidance as per the Vedas, to make our conduct pleasant and beneficial for the society, to make us healthy and wise, and enhance our existence as a refined individual or creature. Now, desirable conduct. What is desirable conduct? According to Swami Dayanandji, he stated that lets man regulate his conduct according to what is sanctioned by the Vedas. The Smritis, abundant reference of Manusmriti is in the Samulas 10 and Book of Rishis. The purpose, as you all know, the Vedas is the source of all true knowledge as revealed by God. It is the only medium that has the ability to dispel and discard avidya, that is ignorance, which is the king of all sorrows as per Yog Darshan. The Smritis and books of seers are source of moral, ethical, and value-based knowledge, which are very important to make us to be one of our guide in this modern world. The effects of conduct, that is, the concept of desirable conduct is in our mind. The mind controls the human body. As per Ayurveda, our life is a matrix of physical body, five senses, mind, and soul. Swamiji stated that the use and benefits of Yam and Niyam, as prescribed in Yog Darshan, is to be achieved, can be used as a tool to achieve desirable conduct. Now, to be very brief, what is Yam? Yam is social discipline, and you all know that there are five: Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Aparigraha, Brahmacharya. And we have also Niyam, which are also five: Soch, Santosh, Tap, Swadhyaya, and Ishwar Pranidhan. Niyam is very important. The internal discipline right now, the whole world is facing the COVID-19 pandemic due to the collapse of Yam and Niyam. Soch, can you imagine where we are using technology, high technology, we're using computers, we are connecting each other through media, social media, through this Google platform. We have to explain people about cleanliness. COVID-19 has made us remind about cleanliness of our body, external and internal neatness, and order in our environment, purification of mind. The lack of santosh, contentment, is one of the other causes of COVID-19. So we can say that the wrong conduct adopted by human beings during the past years has now been the result of what we are facing today, a fear in the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, the benefits, why to use Yam and Niyam? What are the benefits of Yam and Niyam? Harmonize social interaction, harmonize inner feelings, that is Niyam, reduce friction of outer action and inner attitude, help to keep mind peaceful, stable, clean, and clear, initiation towards self-realization, keep the body and mind healthy and disease-free, is able to associate and work for noble cause, creation of noble society. Now, the relevance of moral code. What is the relevance of moral code today? Why should we give importance to this 10 samulas? Relevance of this moral code is it reduces mental and social physical friction, harmonize the balance between body and mind matrix, helps to be focused, improves efficacy and efficiency at work, helps in crisis management, human approach with colleague and other living things, disease-free, liberation from psychosomatic diseases, most of the psychosomatic diseases that we're facing today, whether it is asthma, whether it's diabetes, are due to the non-proper observance of yam and niyam. Reduction in the practice of fraud and corruption, create a non-profit conducive environment for business and trade that is level playing off, social upliftment. Now, this is about, we can say, the application of desirable conducts. A school where we can apply these moral conducts. In a school, for better citizen, monitor behavioral issues, place of work so as to avoid corruption, in non-governmental organization to uplift the society, international organization to keep global peace, in corporate institution, ethical-based business, civil code to make people Arya, that is noble person, court of justice, in court of justice, application of rule of law so as to eradicate the evils of society, in discipline forces to maintain law and order, management insight to avoid conflicts and conciliated relation. So you see, Swamiji was quite ahead, was visionary that conducts, the desirable conducts will lead to a very well organized and well efficient society. Now, we have the concept of moral conduct. Well, it is defined as good righteous or moral disposition. Moral conduct is primordial for achievement in life. Science and technology, as you know, have placed moral values in very low esteem. This is why now the need of the hour is to revive the what we call moral values. It is now sine qua non to adopt moral conduct in order to keep a peaceful mind. We have reachable goals of desirable conducts. What will be the reachable goals with the desirable conduct? Sorry, we have arogya, disease-free, that is physical and mental. Swasthya, happy health. Jivema Sharadashatam, live 100 years, that is it will give us rasayan as well as longevity. And moksha, attain eternal bliss. This is our goals if we have a desirable conducts. Now, few examples here. I have given few examples of good conducts. I will enumerate a few of them here. To make friends with those who believe in God and to respect the authorities, to keep away from strife and animosity, and to be modest, humble, whatever circumstances, to be courteous, to speak truth, abstain from lies, to be clear in thought and speech, and to avoid nail biting, scratching in public. Do not cast evil eyes on women, youngers, and other person's spouse. So, and the important one is always venerate the people, these people, elderly people, learned people, pious and virtuous person. So these are a few examples of good conducts and its effects on health. Now, moral conduct, an external guide for living so as to have a stable health, physical, morally, and socially. It is a tool to control shortcomings of physical and mental attributes, just like lust, anger, fear, greed, anxiety, jealousy, ignorance, excessive delight, sorrow can give rise to psychological disturbance, increase in raj and tam, which consequently affects the three dosh, as by the way, the three psychosomatic energies that we have. And sadvit, that is ethical approach, helps to restore sattvic gun and positive mind and a healthy body for each individual. So the conduct, the way we live is very, very important. And the way the adoption that we do, how we adopt our life is also very crucial. Now, Achara Rasayan, as per Ayurveda, what is good conduct, which is known as Achara Rasayan in Charak Samhita? It is excellent or good behavior themselves act as the best mental tonic. Now, we have already gone through that. That is about good conduct, speak truth, be free of anger, abstain from alcohol, observe celibacy, practice of non-violence, avoid overstrain, be pleasing in your speech. And these are about good conduct that we can see. And now we come to, there was in this chapter, there is a very issue about the travel, whether we have to travel abroad. Well, Swamiji Dayanand is very much liberal in his thought and has favored that there should be foreign travel. And he has also pointed out that one can travel but not blindly follow the tag "in Rome, do like Romans." He advocates that one should abide to the principles of moral conduct as teach in the Vedas wherever he goes. That is, if you have been trained, you have been trained and imbibed in the moral conduct based on Vedas and the Smritis and that book of seers, you can't change your conduct when you go in any place. Your conduct should remain constant and stable. Stability in your conduct will lead a success in your life. So wherever you go, you should not bend yourself with the culture, with the tradition of that place. You should always abide to your moral conduct that you have been trained, you have been inculcated by your parents, by your guru, by your seers, and in your family environment. Now, business, there's also a blind belief that business should not be done. But Swami Dayanand advocates that trade should be carried out with other countries so as to strengthen the economy of one's country. This thinking of Swami Dayanand demonstrates the farsightedness and visionary acumen to enhance and promote global trade, global economy, and make the whole planet one global village. Krivanto Vishwamalya. Make the whole world the living place of the noble and the good. And we have hygiene and food. Swamiji prescribed that all food must be prepared in absolute cleanness. The way Swamiji has described how your kitchen should be clean and neat at the time of Swamiji, people were using what we call cow dung, that is gobar, to do the plaster, because we know cow dung has a purifying element in that and is antiseptic also. And this is now to keep everything clean when you prepare food is now a benchmark in the agro-food industry. And the whole process of food preparation is now checked in the name of total quality management. And each steps in the preparation of food has to be on a moral base, on a very moral conduct, that is, should be followed strictly without any fault. It should be flawless so that the food is acceptable in the market. So the hygiene plays a very big role in what we call in the food that we are having today. Who will prepare the food? This is a very good question that has come in this Samulas. Well, Swamiji has stated that the person, just like the Brahmin, Kshatriya, and Vaishya, that is those who are involved in intellectual work or in the security of the country or in business, should concentrate in the activities, because cooking food will take time. They have to prepare, they can't prepare their own food. There must be some person to prepare their food, that these people who are meant to do certain intellectual work or certain security work or for the defense of the country should be always well prepared and always be ready to do so. This concept, you can see it's applied today also. You go in hostels, in university hostels, you find that there's a mess where the students, their only work is to study, so they don't have to bother to prepare their food. In armies, it is the same thing. The army is the same thing. You have a mess. In hospital also, doctors are not supposed to prepare their food. Doctors and nurses are given food. There's a mess that provide the food because they have to concentrate themselves to give the best treatment to the patient. So you see the application mentioned, all the words, all the that ideas formulated by Swamiji in this Samulas is totally relevant in today's world. There is nothing in this Samulas that is not relevant. And we can have, now there is another question of leftovers. The leftovers as prescribed, this is very practical what Swamiji has said. Each individual is unique. It has its own psychosomatic structure and digestive system. Eating leftovers will hamper one body setup. Risk of contagious disease will increase. There will be decrement in one's immunity. So this is why Swamiji was very far-sighted, Swami Dayanandji, and he totally banned the use of leftovers or anything that is that even among husband and wife. It has completely banned this practice. Now comes one other question: boiled and fried items. Well, that Swamiji has said that this is a prank that people have conceived, a gimmick. But Ayurveda, as per Ayurveda, which is the Vedic Shastra, which is prescribed in this Samulas to be referred as, and it advocates both practice, which Swami said. There are foods that we have to take boiled, there are food that we have to take fried. And as per modern science, we all know that there are certain vitamins which are water soluble and the other vitamins which are fat soluble. So both can be consumed. So this is, you should not go in the gimmicks, in all these tricks that people advocate, that boil or fry. So this is something to be completely ignored. Now we come to it was the first part of the 10 Samulas, desirable conduct and non-desirable conduct. And the second part is about permissible and non-permissible diet. That is diet which is allowed and which is not allowed. The first part, as you know, regarding the conduct is normally on the mental plane. Now we come to the permissible and forbidden diet. This is mainly based on the physical plane, that is the physical body and the senses. Now this part is also has been divided in two parts. That is, Swamiji advocates that diet should be based on science of morals and religion, but it is not like that in Hindi. The English translation is like this, but in Hindi it should be on Dharma Shastra and Vedic Shastra. Dharma Shastra means all the values, all the teachings that has been pressed in the books of Vedas and Seers, and Vedic Shastra is not health as is translated in English. It should be Ayurveda, because Ved is someone who looks after medical science. It should be medical science, or Ayurveda, that is life science. So the diet that you eat, it should be based on these two factors. Now, regarding moral science, moral side of diet, why should there be moral side? Normally, the human mental constitution is made of Sattva, Raj, and Tam. Okay, three attributes of the mental. And you have also mental agony, that is fear, nervousness, fear and nervousness dissipate energy and aggravates Vata. The possessiveness, greed, and attachment enhance Kapha. Worry weakens heart. Hate and anger create toxin in the body, aggravates Pitta. Excessive talking dissipates and aggravates Vata. This is the mental agony that people suffer. Now, the food that we eat if it is not proper, we're going to augment this mental agony. And for example, the forbidden foods. Swamiji has clearly stated that you should avoid wine, that is flesh, meat, intoxicating medicinal herbs. All these are forbidden because they have a direct effect on our mind. For example, wine, it is increase the Pitta and Kapha and augment the Rajasic tendencies. Intoxicating medicinal herbs like cannabis, opium affects Kapha, mind, and disorganize our sattvic trait. Meat, tamasic attributes causes disease and mental agonies. It acts as hurdles for the 10 characteristics of dharma. That is, why these food are forbidden? Because they act as hurdles for the 10 characteristics of dharma prescribed by Manu in Manusmriti, which is Dhriti, Shama, Damo, Asteya, Soch, Indra, Nigra, Dhi, Vidya, Satya, Aprodh. So these forbidden items, if you're going to take it, then your dharma, your ethics will be brushed, will be destroyed, and definitely the society will become archaic. Now, let's come to the permissible food as per Vedic Shastra, that is as per Ayurveda. What is Ahar? Ayurveda describes Ahar, Nidra, and Brahmacharya as three upstam, the sub-pillars of life. Ayurveda describes in very clear terms that what should be eaten and what should not be eaten. This is explained in terms of day, night, season, country, and own physical capacity. That is, there is a very clear guidelines of the daily routine that you have to follow. That is what you have to eat, what you have not to eat during the day, during the night, during the season. A proper diet not only nourishes the body, but also works as nectar. An improper diet is like a poison which hurts the body. Diet has a direct impact on one's nature and health. Now, Ahar Vidhi Vishesh Adhini, how to eat food. This is very important because Swamiji has just mentioned we have to follow the guidelines of Vaidak Shastra. Now, as we know that Satyendra Prakash is a book that where there are many knowledge in between the lines. Now, I try to give you the practical application of how to eat as per Vaidak Shastra. Here it is Maharishi Charak mentioned Hidbhuk, Midbhuk, and Ridbhuk, which can be followed by the way 8 specific factors for intake of diet. We have the Prakriti, the Karna, the Samyog, the Rashi, and then we have base, Kal, that is dietetic rules, and consumer. So all these are the way we can use and take diet. We have to follow so as to have the proper diet, which should be best for our health. Now, quantum of diet. The consumer shall divide his intake of food like this. Half his space in the stomach shall be for solid items, and out of the remaining half, 1/4 is of liquid and 1/4 for vayu, that is air. So the food which has been taken have enough space to mix the move. It promotes a beneficial digestion. So you see, the way we eat as per Vaidak Shastra, that is Ayurveda, is very important. And the absence of the the absence of such guide will definitely entail in a diseased person, and your health condition will become very, very poor. The way we eat is very important. So this is the practical application of this 10 samulas, how to eat, because Swamiji is very brief on that, but we have to read in between lines. When you say Vaidak Shastra, we have to go in detail what the Vaidak Shastra are giving us, what the prescription, what the guide they are giving us, and what is the advantage of following such guide, whether it was meant for that time or whether it is still applicable. All the guides that have been prescribed in the past, in the Shastra, in Ayurveda Shastra, in the Ayurvedic classic, is still valid, because they have been meant for human being based on our behavior. It is after very deep thinking that these guides have been prepared. Now we come to the diet profile. This is the diet profile that Ayurveda recommends. Diet should be sattvic. It brings positive energy in body. So if you are taking a diet which doesn't give you positive energy in your body, definitely you're going to have negative effects, and the negative effects will be a ripple effect. That is, if you are negative, you're going to transmit negativity to your friend, to your family, and then definitely you are going to what we call have a society which is having a lot of problem, a lot of social problems, where there will be a lot of robbery, there will be a lot of murder, corruption, and no following of law and order. This will be the cause of a very bad diet profile, where you're using a lot of Rajasic and Tamasic food. You can see all the countries where the people are using a lot of Rajasic and Tamasic food, they have a high rate of murder, they have a high rate of social evils, high rate of what we call behavioral problems. And food should be prepared with joy and topmost hygiene, and food should be prepared at home. The kitchen should be a place of happiness and not sorrow. That is the center of the family. And Swamiji has favored home-based diet. That is because when you prepare a food at home, it is very much hygienic. And WHO, in a recommendation in 2003, has prescribed that all countries should follow the traditional method of cooking and eating. That is based on the cultural values and the tradition that they have made. They should not adopt that is modern way of eating habits, because these modern way of eating habits entail in disease, lifestyle disorders. So Swamiji was very much ahead of his time by prescribing for all of us that we have to use home-based diet and to have sattvic food. And how your diet should be, one should eat on time, and food items must be easily digestible. Fresh food items should be consumed. And Swamiji has also mentioned in the 10 Sanmulas that no stale foods, that is leftovers, that is what we call food that is been prepared overnight, should be kept and should be eaten. Food should be prepared fresh because, as you know, stale foods are the reservoir of bacteria, virus, and free radicals. And these foods only increase your Rajasic and Tamasic attributes in your body, and they lowers your mood, and they lead you towards action that are not accepted in the society. They lead you toward conducts that are not desirable. You have to eat with happy mood. All food items must have the 6 tastes: sweet, sour, salt, bitter, pungent, and astringent. Food should be well chewed and eaten at one pace. As you can see, the Vedic Shastra is very elaborate in the method of eating. And only one word Swamiji has said, Vedic Shastra, food desirable, that is, bhakshya should be as per the Vedic Shastra. The elaborate way of eating as prescribed in Charak, in Bhagavad, is so in detail that if you follow, definitely your conduct will be good. The eating method, so it has been described in Ayurveda that one should reserve a fixed time to take meal, etc. And one should serve food with joy, one should keep all the drinking items left, etc. This is the way of eating. And here also, the way of eating. Now, there's also certain food that are incompatible. And nowadays, we see the reason of the behavior, the undesirable conduct of person is due to the consumption of incompatible food. That is, it usually happens that when a food item is eaten, it undergoes a series of biochemical degradation in our gastrointestinal tract, and the end product is usually not compatible with one food item that has taken together just after meal. But nowadays, all the foods that we have in the market, all the fast food, all the food industry that is being sold in supermarkets, in hypermarkets, in malls, in restaurants, all these food and dishes are incompatible food. And when we eat such incompatible food, definitely we're going to have an undesirable conduct. And the undesirable conduct is not that of an Aryan. And that type of behavior will definitely not be aligned with the Ved, with the Smritis, with the books of seers. And our action will not help us to have a noble society. It will be a society that will be corrupted and will be a place not fit for us to live. Now, this is permissible that as per yoga, you can see that the power, Siddhi, in Kaivalya Pad, you have this sutra where medicinal herbs are also important to reach samadhis. And eating alone, there's one point that I want to highlight here. Swamiji has advocated that one should eat alone. This is perfectly right. Each one of us has a specific aura and vibration which may not be in tune with another person. Our aura is just like a mist around us. It's just like a hue. It's just like a very fine cloud around us. And this mist is, each one has a own wavelengths and vibration. And whenever you're going to eat together with someone who is a meat eater, is a weak person, who is a corrupted person, who has drank wine, who is a person who goes in very low social morals, what happens? If you are sattvic, your aura diminishes. When your aura diminishes, your digestive system, which is connected to your aura, also diminishes, and hence the food that you eat will become poison. This is why Swamiji has advocated that one should eat alone. When we eat alone, that is, you sit in front of your food, you touch the food, you touch with the 5 senses, you smell the food, you feel the food, You have the focus on the food, you chew slowly, you eat at ease, you take all your time to eat, and definitely the food that you eat become aushad, become a medicinal herbs, become a nectar to you. And this nectar will help you to raise in your mental faculty, in your mental plane, and your sattvic gun will enhance, and definitely your aura also will be energized. And you may all have observed that when you eat in a restaurant where there's a lot of people, the day you come at night when you sleep, you don't have a sleep. You turn right and left on your bed, and you feel very awkward. So you keep on thinking what I have eaten, but you come to conclusion that I've not eaten anything wrong. What you have done is the way you have eaten. You have eaten in a crowd where there are a lot of negative people. It's not matched with your wavelengths. This has diminished your biofire in your body, and definitely you are going to have certain immoral conducts. This is why people who eat a lot of fast food, they have very erratic behavior, and the behavioral problems that we face with children in school is basically, if we go in detail, it's due to the wrong diet. That is, they use what we call abhakshan, that is food that is not permissible, forbidden food, too much of salt, too much of tamasic and rajasic food that would enhance in their conduct. And definitely you can't have a nation where there are people are living on fast food and on rajasic and tamasic diet. And in conclusion, I will conclude that Surya Prakash is a guide, is a roadmap that helps us to be practical, live a yogic journey, to have a happy life and a mode of living based on Ved, Upanishad, and Smritis. It helps us to be detached and be self-actualized person, as stated by Maslow, who was a psychologist, American psychologist, in his hierarchy of needs. We become self-actualized and lay the foundation for an elevated next birth, better than the present one. Thank you for your attention.
थैंक यू डॉक्टर राधा किशन जी। आपने जो सत्यार्थ प्रकाश का जो 10वां समुल्लास है, जिसमें आचार, अनाचार, भक्ष और अभक्ष इत्यादि विषयों के बारे में महर्षि दयानंद ने एक विस्तृत व्याख्या की है, उसको बड़े सुंदर ढंग से आपने प्रस्तुत किया है। वस्तुतः जो व्यक्ति की जो एक प्रक्रिया है मोक्ष प्राप्ति की, या अपने आप को देवत्व की स्थिति में लाने की जो मेथडोलॉजी है, एक जो विधि है, जो प्रोसेस है, उसका एक भाग है कि आपका आचरण कैसा हो, आपका भोजन कैसा हो और आपका व्यवहार कैसा हो, क्योंकि ये सब चीज़ें भी व्यक्ति के संस्कारों को बनाती है। तो आपने संक्षेप में सभी बातों को बताया और बताया कि किस प्रकार से जो यम और नियम का पालन है उसकी क्या क्या लाभ होते हैं, उसके क्या क्या जीवन में फायदे हैं। आपने यह भी बताया कि जैसे लोभ है, ईर्ष्या है, द्वेष है, इस प्रकार के जो भाव है, इस प्रकार का जो आचरण है, वह व्यक्ति के रज और जो तामसिक वृत्ति है, राजसिक और तामसिक वृत्तियों को बढ़ावा देता है। और महर्षि दयानंद के माध्यम से आपने ये बताया कि कोई भी व्यक्ति कहीं भी यात्रा कर सकता है, विदेश यात्राएं भी की जा सकती हैं। इस देश में एक ऐसी मान्यता रही बहुत समय तक, ये माना जाता था कि विदेश यात्रा नहीं करनी चाहिए, और जो लोग विदेश यात्रा करते थे उनको समाज से बहिष्कृत भी किया जाता था। हम जानते हैं जब गजनी ने ये गुजरात का जो मंदिर है प्रसिद्ध, क्या बोलते हैं उसको, उस मंदिर को लूटा और गजनी उस मंदिर के दरवाजे लेके चला गया,
सोमनाथ
का मंदिर। तो जब गजनी लेके उस सोमनाथ के दरवाजों को गजनी लेके चला गया, तो उस समय जो ये कश्मीर के जो राजा थे उन्होंने गजनी पर आक्रमण किया उसके बाद, और उनको हराया और वो सोमनाथ के दरवाजे वापस लेके आए। परंतु सोमनाथ के पंडितों ने कहा कि ये दरवाजे तो अब जो हैं अपवित्र हो गए हैं, हम इनको नहीं ले सकते। तब उन दरवाजों को, जिसको हम आज स्वर्ण मंदिर बोलते हैं अमृतसर में, उन पे वहां पर लगाया गया, वहां पर स्थापित किया गया। और उन महाराजाओं को भी जिन्होंने विदेशियों को हराया, आतंकियों को हराया, आक्रांताओं को हराया, उनको भी बहिष्कृत कर दिया गया। तो इस प्रकार की जो एक रूढ़िवादिता इस समाज में पनप रही थी, महर्षि दयानंद ने उसका विरोध किया और कहा कि कोई कहीं भी यात्रा कर सकता है, परंतु वह अपना आचार और व्यवहार उसको नहीं भूलना चाहिए। सबसे बड़ी बात यह है कि अपने धर्म पर व्यक्ति टिका रहे। तो इस प्रकार से महर्षि दयानंद ने अपने समय से बहुत एडवांस, जैसा कि हमारे विद्वान वक्ता राधा किशुन ने भी कहा कि जो बातें आज 2003 में लोग कह रहे हैं कि जो भोजन है, जो ट्रेडिशनल विधि से बनाया हुआ भोजन है, वह शरीर के लिए उत्तम है, वही बातें महर्षि दयानंद 19वीं शताब्दी के मध्य में कर रहे थे, आज से 150 वर्ष पूर्व कर रहे थे। तो वो अपने समय से बहुत एडवांस थे। तो इन्होंने आगे बताया कि जो भोजन है, देखिए वहां पर महर्षि दयानंद जी बार बार धर्म युक्त, धर्म शब्द का प्रयोग करते हैं। वो धर्म का अर्थ वहां पर कोई रिलीजियस या सेक्टेरियन या कोई मतांतर का नहीं है, अपितु जो नैतिकता से युक्त है, जो मोरल वैल्यूज के साथ है, तो उसी को वहां पर धर्म कहा गया है। तो भोजन में भी भोजन कौन पकाए कौन न पकाए, महर्षि दयानंद ने उसके बारे में कहा है कि कोई भी व्यक्ति भोजन पका सकता है, परंतु वहां स्वच्छता आवश्यक है। और रसोई घर के बारे में भी विद्वान वक्ता ने बताया कि जो रसोई है उसमें प्रसन्नता का माहौल होना चाहिए। वस्तुतः स्थिति क्या है, जब प्रसन्नता से जो बनाया हुआ भोजन है वह भी शरीर को स्वस्थ स्वास्थ्य प्रदान करता है, शरीर को तंदुरुस्त बनाता है। इसलिए प्रायः कहा जाता है कि जो भोजन माता बनाती है उसका, क्योंकि जब माता भोजन बनाती है अपने परिवार के लिए तो वो बहुत प्रसन्नता से बनाती है कि उसके बच्चे खाएंगे, उसका परिवार खाएगा। तो उस भोजन को खाने से जो शरीर में ताकत और ऊर्जा प्राप्त होती है, वह होटल के या रेस्टोरेंट के भोजन से प्राप्त नहीं हो सकती। क्योंकि वहां का जो बनाने वाला रसोइया है उसका उस समय क्या विचार है, किस प्रकार की मानसिक स्थिति है, वह किसी प्रताड़ना में है, किसी दुख में है। अगर भोजन बनाते समय बड़े दुख के साथ भोजन बनाया जाता है तो वो भी शरीर में खाने से वैसा ही प्रभाव डालता है। जो व्यक्ति उस भोजन को खाएगा वह भी खिन्न हो जाता है, वह भी दुखी रहेगा। और जब प्रसन्नता से भोजन बनाया जाता है तो उसको खाने से खाने वाला भी प्रसन्न चित्त रहता है। तो ये जो इसका एक बड़ा महत्व है और महर्षि दयानंद ने इस पे जोर दिया। और जो कि हमारे विद्वान वक्ता है, क्योंकि वो आयुर्वेद के भी विद्वान हैं, इसलिए वो बार बार चरक और सुश्रुत के जो भक्ष अभक्ष का जो प्रकरण है उसको वो कोट कर रहे हैं। तो ये सब चीजें हैं हमारे भोजन के लिए। आहार, निद्रा, ब्रह्मचर्य, इनको आयुर्वेद में 4 चीजों को उपस्तंभ कहा गया है। आहार को, निद्रा को, ब्रह्मचर्य को, क्योंकि इनका भी एक बड़ा रोल है। आप उचित समय पर भोजन करें, जो समय भोजन का है उसी पे भोजन करें। अगर हम भोजन का समय बदलते रहते हैं तो उससे जो शरीर का जो स्वास्थ्य है वो समाप्त होता है। और आयुर्वेद की इन्होंने बहुत अच्छी बात की, कोट की कि भोजन कितना करें। बड़ा सुंदर वहां कहा कि पूरे अपने जो आपका स्टोमक है, जो पेट है, या उसको 2 भागों में बांट ले। आधे भाग में तो आप ठोस आहार करें और जो जितनी भूख है उसमें से आप आधा लिक्विड पिए और आधा उसको छोड़ दे वायु का स्थान, ताकि वायु भी इधर उधर गति कर सके। आप ठूस ठूस के अगर आपने पेट को भर लेंगे कचरा पेटी की तरह, तो स्वाभाविक है कि आप बीमार होने लगेंगे, गैस्ट्रिक ट्रबल होने लगेगी और अनेक व्याधियां, जो वातजन्य व्याधियां हैं, वो शरीर में बनेंगी। क्योंकि जब वात प्रकोपित होता है तो वातजन्य व्याधियां, आयुर्वेद में कहा 80 व्याधियां हैं, कफजन्य तो 20 हैं, और जो पित्तजन्य है वो केवल 40 व्याधियां, और जो हमारे वृद्धावस्था की व्याधियां वो तो सारी वातजन्य है। इसलिए कम भोजन खाना अत्यधिक उपयुक्त है। दूसरे, आपने यह भी बताया कि जो ये सब जो है तामसिक जो मीट है वो तामसिक भोजन है। और जिस प्रकार से जो व्यक्ति के हाव भाव है, व्यक्ति की जो चेष्टाएं हैं, वो भी हमारे शरीर के अंदर कफ, पित्त और सत्व को उत्पन्न करती है। जैसे आपने बताया कि जो भय की जो स्थिति है और या जो कफ की स्थिति है, वह लोभ की जो स्थिति है, अगर व्यक्ति लोभ से युक्त रहता है तो वो कफ को बढ़ाने वाला है। जो मीट है वो आपके तामस को बढ़ाएगा, भय के कारण आपका पित्त ज्यादा बढ़ेगा। तो ये जो है शरीर का जो आचरण है, इसलिए महर्षि दयानंद ने आचरण पे, सदाचरण पे बहुत जोर डाला, क्योंकि जो सदाचारी व्यक्ति है वह भय, लोभ, द्वेष, ईर्ष्या, मात्सर्य इन सब भावों से दूर रहता है। तो क्योंकि उसका विचार एक पॉजिटिव विचार है, जब आपका पॉजिटिव विचार रहता है तो व्यक्ति स्वस्थ भी रहता है। और जो जो आपका विचार नेगेटिव विचारधारा बनती है, तो नेगेटिव विचारधारा अपने आप में एक अस्वस्थ विचारधारा है, और उस विचारधारा में रहने वाला व्यक्ति भी अस्वस्थ मानसिकता का होगा, उसकी मानसिकता भी रुग्ण मानसिकता हो जाती है। तो ये बहुत ही, जितना सभी अध्यायों का महत्व है उससे भी बढ़कर अंतिम इस 10वें अध्याय का महत्व है, क्योंकि आपका आचरण, आपका स्वभाव, आपकी प्रवृत्ति, वो सारे आपके भविष्य के वातावरण को, आपके संस्कारों को, उनको तय करती है। तो इस प्रकार से आपने बहुत सुंदर बताया कि आज 2003 में लोग ये सोचने लगे कि जो ट्रेडिशनल ढंग से पकाया हुआ भोजन, नहीं तो यूरोप में और पश्चिम के देशों में तो एक मान्यता रही, घर पे भोजन ही नहीं बनता था, वो सब लोग तो रेस्टोरेंट में या टीम फूड और ये सब इस प्रकार का भोजन करते रहे। परंतु जो भोजन है उसके बारे में भी आयुर्वेद भी कहता है, और महर्षि दयानंद ने भी इस पे बल दिया, और हमारे विद्वान वक्ता ने भी बताया कि जो फ्रेश भोजन है, जो ताजा बनाया हुआ भोजन है, वही महत्वपूर्ण है। बासी भोजन की का महत्व नहीं है, वह शरीर को तामसिक भाव शरीर में उत्पन्न करता है। तो जो लिक्विड भोजन है, जो जितना जो कम तला हुआ भोजन है, और जितना ताजा भोजन है, जितना फ्रूट और इनसे संयुक्त भोजन है, वो सात्विक भोजन है। हमारे विचार में भी, हमारे मन मस्तिष्क में भी सात्विक भाव को जन्म देता है। तो ये एक बहुत बड़ा महत्वपूर्ण है, इन्होंने बात की। और साथ साथ इन्होंने ये, महर्षि दयानंद भी ये कहते हैं, जो भोजन है ना उसमें 6 रस प्रधान होने चाहिए, 6 रस होने चाहिए। जिस प्रकार से आज वैज्ञानिक डाइटिशियन और डॉक्टर्स बात करते हैं कि सभी विटामिन भोजन में होने चाहिए, तो हमारे यहाँ आयुर्वेद में तो 6 रसों की व्यवस्था है। मधुर, तिक्त, कषाय, कटु, लवण, ये जो 6 रस हैं, अगर इन 6 रसों से युक्त हम भोजन करते हैं तो अपने आप जो भोजन है उसमें सारे मिनरल्स, सारे वाइटमिन्स आपको प्राप्त होते हैं। और इन्होंने एक और प्रक्रिया बताई कि किस प्रकार से जो लिक्विड पदार्थ हैं उनको दाएं रखा जाए, चावल को मध्य भाग में रखा जाए। और एक और महत्वपूर्ण इन्होंने हमें बताया कि, और वो आयुर्वेद में भी उसका बहुत बड़ा वर्णन है कि विरुद्ध आहार का ध्यान रखें। जब आप भोजन करें ना, कुछ आहार प्रकृति विरुद्ध है, उनकी अपनी आप भी प्रकृति मिलती नहीं है, सातम्य नहीं है, वो सुइटेबल नहीं है एक दूसरे के। तो विरुद्ध जो आहार है उसमें क्या क्या है, जैसे कि आपने कुछ उदाहरण दिए, बहुत लंबी लिस्ट है आयुर्वेद में। आपने बहुत अच्छा बताया कि जैसे मछली है उसके साथ दूध नहीं लेंगे आप, और मूली है, मूली के साथ दूध नहीं लेंगे, प्याज के साथ दूध नहीं लेंगे। और हमारे यहाँ एक दही बड़े बनते हैं, दही बल्ले बनते हैं, और वो जो बल्ला होता है वो उड़द की दाल का होता है, और दही के साथ उड़द की दाल का तो बहुत ज्यादा विरोध है, एकदम आपके बीपी को शूट अप करेगा। इसलिए जो बल्ला बना हुआ है वो मूंग की दाल का हो तो आप दही के साथ खाएं, उड़द और दही का भी मेल नहीं है। इसी प्रकार से आपने बताया कि जो शहद है और घी एक इक्वल मात्रा में, समान मात्रा में अगर खा लिया जाए तो वह भी मृत्यु का कारण बनता है और उसका कारण बनता है। तो ये सब चीजें बड़े महत्वपूर्ण इशू है, और इसीलिए माता को भी बहुत शिक्षित होना आवश्यक है। विद्वान को ही भोजन बनाने का अधिकार दिया है, क्योंकि जो आपका रसोई घर है वो एक बहुत बड़ा दवा खाना भी है। वो आपको स्वस्थ रखने के लिए आवश्यक, आपको किसी दवाई की आवश्यकता नहीं, अगर उचित मात्रा में सही ढंग से भोजन मिले। जैसे हम न देखिए, कुछ चीजें हम भोजन में परमानेंट प्रयोग करते हैं, जैसे हल्दी है। हल्दी त्रिदोष घन है, वात पित्त कफ का घन उसको नष्ट करती है। तो हल्दी का प्रयोग हर समय किया जाता है। जो सेंधा नमक है वो भी त्रिदोष घन है, तो उसका भी प्रयोग किया जाता है हमारे भोजन में। हमारे ऋषि मुनियों ने, हमारे विद्वानों ने हमें इस प्रकार को बताया है कि किस प्रकार से आप भोजन करें। आप जैसे सुबह का वातावरण है वो कफ प्रधान है, दोपहर का पित्त प्रधान है, तो दोपहर का भोजन अलग होगा, सुबह का अलग होगा, और शाम का वात प्रधान बनता है, उसके भोजन की व्यवस्था अलग होती है। वात प्रधान जितना भी आप लिक्विड का भोजन करें, इसलिए शाम को जितना लिक्विड भोजन खाएंगे आपके स्वास्थ्य के लिए अच्छा है। और जो आपको जो मधुर चीजें हैं वो सारी कफ प्रधान है, और जो आपके तिक्त चीजें हैं वो पित्त प्रधान है। तो इस प्रकार की पूरी व्यवस्था है। और आपने एक बहुत अच्छी और बात कही कि देखिए, समूह में एकांतवास में भोजन होना चाहिए। महर्षि दयानंद ने इसलिए फल दिया। क्यों एकांतवास? आपने एक बहुत अच्छा उस पे वैज्ञानिक कारण दिया कि जो हम सब लोग हैं, हमारा एक ओरा है, हमारा एक प्रतिभा मंडल है। वो जो प्रतिभा मंडल है या ओरा है, जिसको वेवलेंथ भी बोलते हैं, वो सबकी अलग अलग, उसकी केमिस्ट्री अलग अलग है। तो कई बार आपका ओरा दूसरे के ओरा से मेल नहीं खाता है, तो आपकी केमिस्ट्री उससे मेल नहीं खाएगी, और उससे आपको एक ढंग से जैसे प्रॉब्लम उत्पन्न होती है। तो जब आप एकत्र होकर के भोजन करते हैं तो एक दूसरे का ओरा कहाँ मिलता है, कहाँ नहीं मिलता, इस सब का हमारे शरीर पर प्रभाव पड़ता है। इसलिए एकांत में भोजन, चुप रह के भोजन, बिना बोले भोजन, ये सारी व्यवस्थाएं की गई हैं, जो कि बहुत ही सुंदर व्यवस्थाएं हमारे शास्त्रों में की गई है। और मैं समझता हूं कि इससे बड़ा फूड एंड टेक्नोलॉजी का कोई शास्त्र दुनिया में नहीं हो सकता। आज फूड टेक्नोलॉजी का बड़ा प्रचार हो रहा है, एक नया विषय आ रहा है, और वो विषय इस भारत का सबसे प्राचीनतम विषय है, वो सबसे महत्वपूर्ण विषय है कि आप पैदा होने से मृत्यु पर्यंत रोज नई डिश खा सकते हैं। इतनी क्वालिटीज हैं, इतने प्रकार के व्यंजन हम बनाते हैं, इस प्रकार की यहाँ पर अनुसंधान हुआ है। आयुर्वेद में तो हर औषधि के बारे में, जो औषधियां प्राप्त हुई जंगलों में, हमारे पहाड़ों पर, उन सब के गुण धर्मों की व्याख्या की गई। और क्योंकि यूरोप में तो कोई औषधियां थी नहीं, वहां पर तो बर्फ में दबे रहते थे, इसलिए वहां पर इस प्रकार का कोई भी विज्ञान विकसित नहीं हुआ। वो तो सारे जो हमारे बैक्टीरियाज हैं और जो दूसरी चीजें हैं, उन पे आधारित उनका विज्ञान है। तो इस प्रकार से मैं धन्यवाद करता हूं अपने विद्वान वक्ता का, डॉक्टर कोमल चंद्र राधाकिशुन का। उन्होंने बड़े अच्छे ढंग से जो भक्ष अभक्ष का विषय है, आचार व्यवहार की बातें महर्षि दयानंद के दशम समुल्लास में दी है, उस पर प्रकाश डाला। और हमारे जो अगले वक्ता थे, जिनका प्रथम भाषण था, वो भी बहुत बड़े विद्वान है, प्रोफेसर वीरेंद्र अलंकार, पंजाब विश्वविद्यालय चंडीगढ़ से। वो भी अपने ढंग से इस दशम अध्याय की व्याख्या करेंगे। अतः मैं इस पर विराम लेता हूं और अगले अध्याय के लिए हम दोबारा उपस्थित होते हैं।